Bristol's annual Balloon Fiesta is underway. On the ground, 120 hot air balloons will shortly be climbing slowly into the air and floating away on the wind. The balloons, though, are just a short flight away from the airport, where air traffic control is keeping a close eye on the launch.
Oh, Charlie Bravo, Mike Charlie Bristol. Charlie Roger, the Bristol QNH1005. The 2,000-foot wind at Bristol Airport about 4 minutes ago was 260 at 22 knots.
The air traffic controllers provide the balloon pilots with detailed wind and pressure readings. They're also well aware that without any propulsion system, the balloons will simply go where the wind takes them. With this morning's winds reaching over 20 miles an hour at 2,000 feet, there's a real chance that the spectacle could easily turn into a potentially dangerous situation for the airport. The takeoff time for the balloons also coincides with one of the busiest times of day at the airport. With planes taking off and landing, and over 100 balloons in the sky, it's going to get very crowded. The airport's radar can pick out aircraft at all levels, but spotting a hot air balloon is a lot more difficult.
There's certainly one of the balloons there about 6 miles northeast of us, moving away to the northeast away, just south of Filton.
We can see the balloons now, they're just getting airborne on the horizon there. They're tracking about 070 degrees, which is going to take them to about 2 miles south of Filton.
They're looking out towards the airport. You can see the airport over there. I can just give them a call in a minute.
All of these events have to be integrated with the operations at the airport and the routine operations of something in excess of 200 commercial flights a day. We start preparing several months in advance for all of these events, and the cooperation we get from the organisers in almost every regard is superb.
Bristol radar, this is hot air balloon, Golf X-ray Romeo Lima Delta.
Now, the problem is on radar, we only see them if they're moving with a reasonable speed on, otherwise we'd see everything that's not moving. So because they're moving so slowly, the radar is designed not to see things that are moving very slowly. So that's one of the problems. And also the balloon itself doesn't give a really good reflective surface to get a signal from anyway.
X-ray Romeo Delta, Bristol, post message.
Call sign is Golf X-ray Romeo Lima Delta, and we are in the middle of the pack, climbing out of Ashton Court at this time 1,500 feet, QNH 1015, and drifting to the east.
Golf Lima Delta, roger. Flight information service, Bristol QNH 1016.
We draw up procedures with the balloon operators some months in advance to ensure that the balloons stay away from the airport and the flight paths that we control. We designate part of the airspace around the airport here to the balloonists, up to 2,000 feet normally, so that they can fly just when they want and when they need to. We're conscious of the fact that they have a spectacle produced for the public. So it's a big event, we want to support that, and we do everything we can to try and make it happen as they want.
Well, we're now flying parallel to the Bristol runway 27 approach, and so we're keeping an eye on their traffic. We've talked to them, introduced ourselves amongst this mass of 120 other balloons. We try and avoid everybody talking to them at once, because otherwise they get overloaded. So 2 or 3 of us just talk so that they're aware of what's going on and what the balloons are generally doing.
That are operating on or close to the 7.27 at Bristol to operate not above 1,500 feet on the Bristol QNH 1016.
Bristol Balloon Golf Lima Delta, that's understood.
Lima Delta, thanks. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Julian. Nice to see you. That's the SATCO, or the actually air traffic manager they call him now.
We've got the surface wind here at the airport showing. In this case, it's 210 degrees at 13 knots. The wind up aloft at 2,000 or 5,000 feet is very often much stronger than that, so the balloons will be drifting quite fast. So from our point of view, it can be a blessing in disguise in that it can get the balloons out of our hair quite quickly, albeit for the balloon pilots themselves, I should think life can be fairly exciting at times.
So far, all's going well. But as a large jet begins its approach, some balloons are in danger of getting too close.
Dalton, if you can make a broadcast on the balloon frequency, please. The traffic is an Airbus A321, which will generate quite a lot of turbulence.
But actually getting the message across is going to be difficult.
This is a general broadcast to all balloons. Please be aware that Bristol's approach is active.
Buddy Beaver from Muir, do you read?
Muir, please stay quiet at the moment. This is a general broadcast.
Near the sluggy balloon.
Hopeless.
Any balloon, yellow Summerfield, am I cleared to climb? Just to the left of the Cainston Rugby ground, over.
Yeah, this is Chubb, you're clear.
General broadcast from balloon broadcast from balloon control. Please, all other stations keep quiet. Please keep clear of Bristol's approach. They have a heavy aircraft approaching within the next 15 minutes, 15 minutes. This applies to all balloons in the Bath Keynsham area.
This is Quick Save Retrieve.
Retrieved, you read?
All, please stay off this frequency at the moment.
It's vital the message gets through to one balloon in particular.
Is Balloon Golf Victor Romeo Victor India on this frequency? There is a heavy aircraft coming in, runway 27 Bristol, south of Bath. You should be on the ground or at low level in the next 10 minutes. This applies particularly to Golf Victor Romeo Victor India.
Balloon Golf Victor Romeo Victor India heads for the ground and the Airbus gets clearance to make its final approach.
I think one of the main problems that Bristol have are with some of the fixed-wing airline people who operate out of other airports, foreign airports, where they're not used to having balloons. And the Bristol operators and, of course, air traffic are very used to it and integrating the two into a safe air traffic operation. But some of the people from outside the UK really get quite nervous when they see balloons in what they know to be regulated airspace. But, of course, they soon realise that it's perfectly well controlled and safe as it would be if they were aircraft.
In balloon terms, what goes up must always come down, and if possible, as gently as it can.
This is Balloon Golf Lima Delta. Okay, in a minute I want you in your landing positions. It should be very gentle, but remember you're facing backwards. Don't get out until I say it's safe to do so, even though you may think we're on the ground and finished.
You'd have to stay on the end now, go backwards. Boy, did you all get what you want?
Yeah.
Hello.
Bye-bye. Come on. Where are you dropping to?
Back at the airport, the problem of the hares is getting worse. Now they're even starting to use the main runway.
That's the exact reason why we're having to trap these hares. You know, we've got them entering the runway and vacating off at the end. The hazard does exist. There is a potential for that hare to cause a problem. If you compare a hare to a bird in terms of density, the actual weight of the animal as well, it's got the potential to cause problems. So with them going on the runway and all the rest of it, coming straight off down the end, it certainly, in our eyes, is a problem. Basically, it's like all animals, the same as birds. They don't really have a fear of the aircraft going around. And certainly the hares don't appear to. Although they tend to, as an aircraft may approach, they may tend to move off at the last minute. Sometimes that is a problem, because if it's on the edge of the runway and it decides to run in front of the departing aircraft, then obviously you've got the strike risk there. This is one of the reasons why you can't use scaring devices against such creatures, because they're within the environment, they've got used to all the aircraft and all the rest of it. So if you had something out there with flashing lights, making unusual noises, the chances are they've heard it before, they're going to get used to it, there's no doubt about that, and they tend to do what they want to do and when they want to do it.
Rather than shoot the hares, Jim Calloway has laid traps, but so far without luck.
Well, there's certainly nothing in the trap at the moment, but there's obviously been signs of activity nearby. So it's actually a track that's come through here, and it's obviously somebody's been having a look at it. So things are looking good, because obviously the hares have got used to the trap within their environment. And this is obviously one thing. If you move something strange into an environment of a creature such as a hare, then obviously they're going to be shy of it for a day or two. But, things seem to have settled down quite well. What we need to do now, I think, is to put a little bit of bait in the trap, so to speak. So we're going to get some decent hay and place in the actual trap, and hopefully that will tempt the hares to make that extra little bit of a step, go inside the trap.
In peak season, Bristol operates more than 1,000 commercial flights a week. Each one requires a marshaller like Dave Curran to see it safely in and out again.
Okay, so the EasyJet's taxiing down, and as soon as he comes into view, I'll give him a little wave so he knows where he's got to go. The only thing you need to be aware of is if there's a hot wheel. So in other words, if the pilots use the brakes quite hard, then the wheels, the tyres may be on fire. So you have to keep aware of that. Especially the foreign pilots, they tend to brake quite hard. The runway's not very long here, so the larger planes, they do brake quite hard. So there are things you have to keep into mind, fire and things like that, really. And just in case the captain wants to release his brakes, you let him know you've put the chocks in. That's it.
What thousands of departing passengers don't always see is people like Dave and his colleagues giving their aircraft a final check-over before takeoff.
Before the initial pushback, we have to check all the doors and hatches are closed. We're waiting for one passenger at the moment, so front door's open. What I look for is there's no oil patches or anything by the undercarriage. And check it's not chocked. And then come round here. I've had it before where there was a flap left open from one of the engineers. He put some oil in an aircraft and he left the flap, the cowling flap. So as it's put in the rules now, we check the engines as well. Just give it a quick check. The pilot does this anyway, but we just check that all the panels are okay. Obviously the rear door, you have to check the rear doors look closed. The toilets have been serviced, so check the panel on that's closed. The other door, the hole, make sure that's okay. Same as the other side, just check the tyres. Exactly the same as the other side. The whole door's open. I think we're waiting for a bag or a pram. So we'll leave that as it is. And that's it really up to now. That's all we can do.
But Dave's job isn't finished when the walk-round's complete. He'll also be driving the pushback vehicle.
We're closing up now. Just bringing the steps in, and then I close the door. And if you remember, the whole door's open, so... Okay, so that's all done. Chocks are taken away now. So, in a sense, the aircraft is mine. What he'll do in a minute is he'll give me the sign for brakes off, and then which direction he wants me to go. This is the only time where you do actually feel there's a lot of money in front of you. You've got to remember all these passengers as well, they're off on holiday, and if you do anything, then you're going to mess up their holiday. So it just gives me clearance for 2 now, so he's going to start number 2 engine. Slowly start bringing it round. It's a bit disconcerting at the beginning when you're training and you're trying to find a centre line. Okay, they're just about to start number 1 engine now. Especially at night time and it's raining. Once you get used to it, it's okay. Obviously the same as everything else once you train. That's it. Off gear, brake on. Give the headset man command you've got the brake on. Then we can uncouple the tug and the bar. Always wait here for the headset man, otherwise the captain sees me, then he might think that this is the crew, but there's also a headset man as well. Okay, he's giving me the thumbs up. It's always a little bit of pride getting it on the line, because obviously there's a guide, and more than times you get it on the line, sometimes you don't. Depends what mood you're in, really.
Traffic, can you clear that DG604?
This is another one of our traps we've got here. In fact, looking at the grass, you can see there's actually a track. It's coming away. Something's come away this way, but you can see there's definitely been some activity in and around here.
Jim Calloway's checking a second trap and things are looking more hopeful.
Yes. In fact, something's definitely been there. You can actually see some drop-ins. So this one's looks a lot more promising than the actual other one we've got. Obviously, they're now getting used to it. It's in their territory. The reason why we got the cone there is it's a necessity for us to do this because the guy comes out top of the grass, and also we've got various people coming up and down this part of the airfield, driving on the airfield at night, need to get to various sites. So we've got to actually put a cone out there to make sure nobody drives over these traps. We've been very kindly lent these traps by a gentleman who worked as part of a team on capturing and relocating hares before. So it's very, very important that we look after his kit as well.
No hares then, but some fresh grass in the trap has Jim a little confused.
I'm not quite sure the way hares behave, but whether that's actually been put in, the hares decided to stick that in there, I doubt it. But I'll just check my colleagues. Something unusual going on here.
Dave Curran is coming to the end of his shift with a final Britannia flight to see safely in. His evening, however, is going to be spent rather differently.
From a GI head to the hills of my GI. And if it don't go stateside soon, I'm gonna go my few.
I was raised on rock and roll. And it was new. Everything was new. The Elvis, the Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis. It was all new at the time. And it's just through the years of growing up, I watched videos and listened to all the records, and it's just something that excited me. And it's the style that I like to play.
And this is where Dave plays his favourite music at a seafront hotel in Weston-super-Mare.
Holy smoke, the little saints alive and up.
A lot of my friends are rock and roll people, and I'm a member of the club. So when you go to these clubs, although they don't have quiffs or anything like that, they do. There's a lot of support for rock and roll. I think it may be a bit dated with the quiff. I'm not sure, but it's just a style that I like, and it may come back one day. You never know.
I got stuck. I don't think I'm complaining. Somebody got away from me 'cause you give me one little peck on the back of my neck. I break out in a cold, cold sweat.
The biggest thrill, I guess, is at the end of the night when everyone's singing the songs that I've done on a gig, and everyone's in a good mood. They're all happy, and I think I've done the job. I've done the job. If you have a crowd and they're a bit conservative, then it's hard to feed off a crowd like that. But generally, I manage to get them going, and then I feed off them, they feed off me, and we have a good night. Some crowds are hard to get through, but they do enjoy it. At the end, the amount of the gigs I've done, and I thought, I'm not going down well. But at the end of the night, they come up to you and they say, it's a fantastic night, we've had a nice time, and then I think, I've done that, you know.
But if music plays such an important role in his life, how did Dave end up working at an airport?
I love aviation anyway, and I was doing this professionally, and I just wanted a bit of a change, and I thought, what else could I do? And I felt aircraft, let's see if there's anything with aircraft. So I went to Bristol International and got a job. I've been there 6 years now, and yeah, I like it up there, it's nice. It's totally different to this, totally different to this. So, it's two separate lives.
Occupation GI Blue at ease.
Off to sunny Pathos. A little bit better than blustery Bristol.
Next week, Dave gives Zeus and Frampton a helping hand on their way to Cyprus.
Say bye-bye again.
Jim and Mike go plane spotting, but in the fog, it's all a little hazy.
Hamburg, sorry, Hamburg.
Hamburg, thinking where they built Amsterdam, that's nice.